I've lived in New Atlantis almost my entire life, and I had no idea this place even existed. The UCs... You go on ahead. I'll be fine. Oh, and good luck.
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinian of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for? I haven't been to Londinian in many years. Why? Is there some way I could be of assistance? Were you able to recover what you were looking for? Good news, then. So, what exactly are you doing here? Plenty still to be done in defeating the Terramorphs, no? Did you? Well, I don't know what you think you heard on this recording, but I sincerely hope you didn't come to the wrong conclusions. After all, given the Cabinet's current state of anxiety, they might misinterpret such a discovery to mean I could have been involved with the attacks. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us. You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terramorph attacks on Tau Ceti, New Atlantis, my doing. Years of coordination between my associate and I, figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinian, learning to synthesize it, use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing. Oh, my revenge was far from petty, Captain. The attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's Terramorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential. These were the final days of the colony war, Captain. The Freestar Collective had spies everywhere. I was concerned that if word got out, the Collective could swoop down, start breeding Lazarus plants, and overrun our worlds with waves of Terramorphs. Just like what was happening on Londinian at that very moment. Sealing off the city to prevent mass death? It was the only option that made sense at the time. Simple to say now, but with the outbreak raging from a barely understood source, the moment demanded quick action. So I did what was required. I removed the dangerous variable from an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. So I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter, she becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You. Can't remember the many lives you've taken. Orlays was the man whose death you brought about around the moon of Etheria, the pilot of the Warlock, the man I had to eliminate, to hide my secret. Why would I want to be in the good graces of the people who control my very life? I don't know, Captain. Maybe I still dream of a life outside these walls someday. A new face would be needed, of course, but it wasn't an impossibility. Though now, I'm not so sure. It wasn't easy. But the beauty of being loathed is that people will do whatever they can not to deal with you. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. And so I used their blind eye to my advantage. Still, establishing a back channel to Orlays via the UC recovery teams was painstaking work. I've led campaigns less nerve-wracking. They believed they were luring in wanted criminals, but were in fact delivering precisely encoded slates, filled with instructions invisible to any but their recipient, dropped off at just the right moments to fall into the proper hands. All without the UC realizing whom you were actually dealing with. Slow work. But as you can see, ultimately effective. There are no heroes without a villain. I simply arranged the opportunity for us to overcome one and become the other. And we all benefited. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home in the well someday. Something befitting the dedication to the colonies you two have shown. While, of course, they can't give you a command, responsibility like that has to be earned. The Cabinet does have access to considerable resources. I expect you'll be quite pleased with the result, and none of it would have happened without my intervention. You're being honored only because I arranged the situations where it could happen. Be grateful. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terramorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm simply requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orlays' role in the attacks to the Cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the Cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlays and Orlays alone. After all, I do do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together. And how many have you killed to get where you are now? There are no great works that don't cost lives, Captain. Whether it's winning a war, or digging a tram tunnel. So we sacrificed a few dozen in the attacks to possibly protect millions. That seems like a fair exchange to me. I only hope you'll see the same, and leave my name out of the discussions to come. Hunting down criminals and other threats to the United Colonies. I expect they'll give me a bit more free range once this is all over. You would help me, like you did with Orlays. Track them down, and keep them from doing harm to the United Colonies. Impossible, though, if the Cabinet learns I'm the one responsible for the attacks. Well, I do hope you'll keep the larger perspective in mind, Captain. We've done something great here. Let's not squander the opportunity to do more.
Personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
I have things for you.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the acyles are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terramorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Did my father tell you what he knew about the Lazarus plant? I knew it. The second I heard that recording, I knew. Why? Did he say why he did it? Killed all those people because of a chip on his shoulder and an obsession with his own status. That sounds like Vivictus. Well, once we inform the cabinet, they can ensure he won't be able to do anything like this ever again. I'm sure he did. But he killed dozens of people, and I'm not about to let him get away with something like that. So I guess that gives us our final answer. Nothing left to do but head in and see what the cabinet thinks of it all. Unless there was more to discuss. This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the terramorphs.
Microbe is gonna make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math. And a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Asylees seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch them. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti.
Asylees aren't hostile to humans, but they are megafauna. If someone decides to pick a fight with one, it could get ugly. But they've already been spread far and wide once before when the UC was raising them as livestock, so the risk of introducing them to new worlds is minimal. Using them to clean up the terramorphs and leeches, though, it's not going to be nearly as expedient as the microbe would be. Given what we know now about the Lazarus plant, the speed of the job does matter. But going with the Asylees, we're at least dealing with known risks. It's hard to know. Unlike my father, the cabinet aren't butchers. But killing UC citizens, along with everything else he's done, is unforgivable. But if you're really that concerned, you could request they be lenient. They might be willing to spare him. And here we go.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terramorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true?
My God.
An attack? Using terramorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orlays commit these attacks, Captain?
Orlays? Well, ma'am, it seems your report is incorrect. Francois Sanon was responsible for the attacks.
He did what?
That's impossible. He doesn't have the kind of access to...
Clearly, he made his own access, Chief Sarkin. Madam President, I have been saying for years that not dealing with that man was gonna end in tragedy.
Enough! I hope everyone here understands that what has just been shared is a state secret of the highest order. This information does not leave this room. Now, that's quite the accusation your group is leveling. Seeing as Francois Sanon has not left containment for the better part of 2 decades. You have evidence to back this up?
It just transformed. A terramorph out of thin air. An invisible weapon. No planet would be safe.
Heavens help us. Is that actually him?
I'd know that voice anywhere. That's Francois.
He knew they could do this. And said nothing.
He's a sociopath. Plain and simple, ma'am.
Officer, please collect that recording.
Yes, ma'am. Begging your pardon, Captain.
We'll, of course, be launching a full investigation into how this could have happened. Though I have little doubt the Admiral will be quick to share all he knows on the subject once confronted with that recording. Chief Yassine, can you send one of your interrogators to have a little chat with the Admiral?
I'll issue the order immediately.
Good. Combined with everything else you all have uncovered. Well, I don't think the United Colonies can thank you enough. We failed the people of the colonies by not dealing with Vayvictus sooner. I intend to rectify that mistake immediately. That's truly disconcerting to hear. But cutting off Vayvictus's contact with the outside world is likely to be just the beginning of his punishment. That will be up to the Cabinet to decide. But I don't appreciate our mercy being taken advantage of. I'm inclined to agree, Captain. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches, the three of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the Cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the Cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President. Tell the Freestar Collective. Wow. So they have another tool to utilize against us?
I'm in agreement. I fail to see the value here.
Indeed. Open relations at this point would be critical towards maintaining peace.
Huh. That is an interesting idea. A grand gesture to further display this cabinet doesn't think like those of the past.
The observers on Mars have proven such a gesture can bear fruit.
So, you want us to make nice with the Collective by sharing our state secrets?
No, I want us to display plainly the UC's actual intentions, that the plant will never be used as a weapon again.
That does sound worthwhile, Chief Kulkarni. Very well. We'll get the Collective involved in the management. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terramorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps? The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terramorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the Cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the Captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter. I suppose we can take a brief recess. Return when you're ready. Captain, have you had sufficient time to clarify your opinion?
Glad to see someone's not afraid of a little applied genetics. The science division is in full agreement.
I doubt there's another body in the galaxy that could pull it off.
Absolutely correct. There are no better hands in the galaxy for this project than ours.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terramorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive. You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
As for you, Captain, the Vanguard will be providing much of the on-the-ground support for the TMD. As a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you'll have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.